Trying to boil it down onto one or two metrics is always a tricky thing.
The goal of any campaign is, of course, to maximize return, whether that be counted in conversions or revenue.
ROAS is our North Star metric.
If there's one marketing metric for key success, it's return on marketing investment.
Everyone has that primary conversion metric. So that's always number one, is like, if it's an e-commerce site, it's going to be purchases. We're trying to sell stuff.
I think the most important thing is to really be customer centric, understand your audience, and get closer to measuring whether you're relevant or not.
If you have a strong enough concept of your buyer, right? So like, I know that we think this product is going to be a fit for mid-market businesses that are about this size, or this specific list of companies, that you look at engagement from that list of companies. That to me tends to typically be the leading metric that then ends up, like, if you see that going well, it will break into revenue.
If you look into pricing as perceived value for that transaction, this could be actually a quite nice metric to look into. How much would a buyer be ready to pay for something? He might even pay more than he has to pay for the product in terms of the value that he's getting out of it. Or does he feel ripped off?
If you feel quite strongly like, we think this product is best fit for females of like a certain age bracket that like these things, and you see that they are engaging with your product, that is a pretty good indicator that at a certain point that's going to break, right? And is going to end up actually driving conversions for your business. So that's account engagement or just engagement with a priority audience. So not just like errant clicks, not just like a high engagement rate. It's like who I think is the right fit for my product cares about it.
When you look at CPA, which is, most people's, one of the key metrics of most people, CPA can be defined by the cost per click, the conversion rate. Those are the two things that create a CPA. There's not really anything else that adds to CPA that those two don't. Those are your levers. Those are ultimately, as an advertiser, those are what you're trying to improve and change to make the CPA better.
When you take the marketing cost and you take the lifetime value of all of the people that were brought in from that marketing, you're looking at a return ratio of your marketing. If it's a ratio of 1, that means your marketing costs and your lifetime value are equal. And what you want to do as a marketer is try to optimize that number, especially in the lower funnel. But this actually works overall for your portfolio. Obviously, the upper funnel is going to have a much lower return because by definition, you're casting a really wide net. And not everybody's going to purchase, but you're going to get more people to purchase if you do that.
When you're talking about return on ad spend, we look at it in really 2 different lanes, or I would say 3 different lanes. Number one, how can we buy the ad or spend the money in the most cost-effective way? Meaning, how can we buy those ad assets as cheap as we possibly can? So that is the cost side of the metric. And then the output side of the metric starts to look at, okay, we want to make sure that we are buying it as cost effectively as possible. We want to make sure that our targeted audience is as highly engaged with those assets as they can be. And then once they land on our site or in our stores, we want to make sure that they are as engaged from an e-com perspective. So they are converting as much as possible. They have the biggest basket size baskets as possible. So those go to our outcome engagements.
99% of our clients are really focusing on those 3 of like, what's the primary thing we're trying to drive? Are we trying to drive downloads or form fills, or we're trying to sell people, stuff, widgets? How much did it cost to get that one thing? And then how many clicks? So essentially, how many how many people do we have to send to the site before we can get that one? And those are the ones that most people, Google ads, Facebook ads, wherever you're running your media, you're keeping your finger on the pulse on those.
The cost per click side is where you get a little bit more. It's a little bit more. That's where you're getting a bit more stat focused, where the spreadsheets come out, and you're thinking, right, okay, how do we get our cost per click down? And there's lots of ways of doing it, but really it comes down to burn rate and click-through rate and quality score and things like that. These are quite low-level stats now that all play quite a big role in that ultimate CPA goal.